All right, welcome in, guys. Good morning.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday.
Happy Wednesday. Good morning. Good morning. Can you guys all hear Mike loud and clear? Just want to do a mic
Test,
check for
test.
Mike.
Mic check for Mike.
They said, "Yo, Mike, can you do Nasdaq today?"
Sure,
We'll go over the NQ, add it to the mix. All right,
sure.
they hear you loud and clear. Awesome, guys. Great. So we are not going to waste any time today. We have some big things happening here. Pre-market PPI data coming out live. It was about 4 minutes ago, give or take. So we're going to talk about that in a minute. We're going to go over everything today. It's an important session, right? Market is selling a little bit, right? A little bit of selling pressure coming in after that CPI data yesterday's session, right? The 696 has failed. We moved into under our previous day highs yesterday, and we sold off aggressively, even under 694, which was a very important pivot yesterday with 694. We broke right beneath it. So under 694 we sold, and now this morning we're opening at 691. So a little bit of a gap down this morning in the pre-market session, and PPI data coming out as well, and not doing much to help us. So let's talk about that in a minute. We'll go over here our chart on the SPY chart. We'll go over Qs, or really Mike's going to go over Qs, and we'll add in even the mix of NQ today, and we'll have a great session here on spot Qs and the ETFs. We'll go over some other individual names today. There are some individuals that look pretty good. For example, NVIDIA. NVIDIA yesterday was interesting. It did a failed breakout above 186. So we'll talk about that failed breakout today and what it means for today's session. We'll go over the Appler, right? The infamous Appler yesterday. I just sat in my demand all goddamn morning, making me look like a fool. But finally, it worked out, right? It just literally sat in demand all for 3 hours straight. Diabolical chop above demand, but eventually did work out. So we'll talk about this chart today here in Apple and what it can do. We'll go over other charts. We'll talk about Teslita, Tesla 450s, failed breakout yesterday. I think it's a common theme we're seeing on some of these names is a failed breakout, right? It's the common denominator across many tickers. So let's talk about it today, guys. What I want to do is I want to jump into our econ data earnings reports. Then we're going to go back into our charts, and we'll be in a good place. So what I want to do is I want to get out of this and open. What is this? Google Chrome, or is this a Safari? What is this? This is Safari. Okay, so here on the earnings docket, right? You can see this week it's piping up. We know that already. Obviously, today's Wednesday. Pre-market, we have WFC, Wells Fargo, Citigroup. We have BAC. Lots of bank names coming out, right? So you can see it's so far on the bank names, it's been pretty lackluster reporting, which I think is important. Bank names, particularly BAC, now selling off. Other names, even the overall XLF, right? It has not been very strong. And recently, the XLF has been very strong, right? It's been a very strong ETF, and the past 2 days in a row, we haven't spoken about XLF, but it's been weak, and it goes to tell you, is this going to have an impact on SPY, and why hasn't SPY sold with it? I think this ultimately will lead SPY, especially if we can start breaking under some key levels here in XLF. And as banks continue to report, it's not coming out great. So let's see what happens here on the on Thursday's session. Because Thursday's session, you have bigger names: GS, BlackRock, Morgan Stanley, TSM. Mike, I think you're in an MS position over there, man. Right? You have Morgan Stanley.
I actually sold them. I took profit on that.
Oh, you did? Okay, you took profit on
Yeah.
that. Okay, good. But some big names reporting tomorrow morning. Let's see what happens going into our pre-market session tomorrow. Okay. In terms of econ data for this week, obviously, guys, today the big data was yesterday CPI. Today PPI has come out. The producer price index basically measures inflation for producers. And this morning, Wednesday the 14th, you can see PPI came out a little worse than expected. I think, right? Mike, I don't know if you've seen the numbers. I think you have, right? It's
Yeah, you said it was 3.0, right?
3.0, right? And the previous was 2.6. So 3.0, this is saying 2.8. Was the previous 2.8 or 2.6? I thought the previous was 2.6.
I'll check investing.com.
Yeah, check investing.com and see what it says. But regardless, the thing this morning is yesterday our CPI numbers came out pretty good. And this morning our PPI numbers are coming out a little bit warmer, right? This is a little bit warmer than expected, a little bit hotter than expected, and I think the market is doesn't seem to be reacting to it that much, which is interesting. You'd expect probably a bigger reaction to a little bit of a hot PPI like this, especially because you have a disconnect between a strong a good CPI reading and now a bad PPI reading. So that's what we have for today's session, guys. Obviously, right, we're not economists. We just focus on technicals. That was what we said yesterday. Remember, we said yesterday, let's not focus on the economy. Let's focus on technicals. And if you did that yesterday, you probably had a good session. Now, today's session is important because at 10 o'clock, we have that tariff news. So remember last week, I think it was either Thursday or Friday, they had that on the news calendar. We had that tariff thing at 10 a.m. Well, it was moved to today, Wednesday, and the assumption is it comes out today, right? That session was particularly terrible, right? I remember it being very choppy in the early morning session, and then right when the news was supposed to be released, they released that it was going to be moved to Wednesday. So let's go into today's session with the understanding that we have some data looming and be aware of that going into our Wednesday session. Okay. So that's what we have for today, guys. Nothing else really important. Some Fed speakers, but mostly 10 o'clock data being the big thing on everyone's docket. That being said, I think what we can do now is we can switch over to our SPY chart. Mike, do you want to kick it off?
Yeah. So I did get the data, by the way. It says U.S. November PPI rises to 3%, high since July, above 2.7% forecast. So I think they released October, November, and January today.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
It looks like it was a bit higher than forecast. But anyway, so SPY, yeah, yesterday we took a great trade on SPY, like 35%. And it was, we failed the previous day high right off the open. Right? We failed the Monday high, 696, right off the open. Could have taken short off of 696. I didn't want to be that aggressive, so I waited for the breakdown. We waited for the breakdown of 694, which was ES 7000, and we cut a nice $2 trade under 694 into 692 demand. All right. Anyway, today, for me, it's all about 689. 689. If the market loses 689, I think it's pretty aggressive selling into possibly 685, 686, and if we do that, we could go all the way down to 682 or 680. So 689 is the level I'm watching today.
Yes, that makes sense to me. I'm in agreement with that. So basically, yesterday's session was about 696 was that PDH on SPY, right? And look, if you traded SPY yesterday, you probably had a really good session. I probably should have taken some more SPY trades because our tacticals on SPY played out beautifully. And this is what it is like as a trader. Sometimes you have the most beautiful setups on one chart, and next thing you know, you're trading a completely different one, right? But look at the SPY chart yesterday, right? So yesterday's chart was all based upon two levels we discussed. The first level was the 696s. If we were under 696, our expectations were 694, right? So under 696, 694 was likely, and that's what we spoke about pre-market yesterday's session. And this happened pretty quickly, and actually was good price action. It failed at open, like Mike was saying, and around 940, the trade happened, and it moved aggressively and sold all the way into the level here at 694. Once 694 broke, this was another short entry, and actually gave you. It actually doesn't look like it here, but there was even, in my opinion, Mike's entry was really good on SPY. I think you entered right there, right over there. But when we were on live, we were also sitting back for a second. Right when we hopped off live, we're like, you know what? This is the short, right? Right over here. I think you and I were both. I think it was you, me, and Rab were all saying at the same time. We're like, this is the short, right? As soon as we saw this little pin bar of VWAP and the pin bar of 694, this again was your other trigger to go short. And it doesn't look like it was a weak candle, but remember, this one pin bar candle was at one point fully red. It was a full body red candle all the way at lows here, and it was a sick. I saw the contracts. It was like a 40% move on 0 days, even more than that. So yeah, I mean, it was actually a really good day yesterday in terms of SPY technicals. Now, if you look back at SPY today, what's happening here? Well, let's talk about what's happening right now. So basically, really strong CPI data out yesterday, and markets sold off of really strong CPI data. What does the market need to go higher, right? That's the question like I'm asking myself this morning is what is the reason for the market to go higher? And if it was going to go higher, why didn't it go higher yesterday? Why did it fail yesterday like this? And so I think these questions are important to ask yourself as a trader. Don't form set in stone bear bias and maintain it all day. But I mean, have that as an understanding. Why is the market selling off this morning despite good data yesterday? Now this morning, bad data is coming in. What does the bad data do? What does the technically bad day to do to today's session. Well, again, guided by technicals, if we break under 691, we see 689. If we break under 689, we see 685. And I think one of the most important things today's session, I think this is a really important level I want to mention today, is this trend line. And you can call me whatever you want. You can call me Tory Trades in the chat, whatever you want to say. But this is you can make fun of it all you want. But sometimes you just got to draw a trend line. And when you draw this trend line, you look at this chart and it's like this is a sick trend line. And you see it, Mike?
It's a rising wedge. Yeah, it's a rising wedge.
It's a rising wedge.
If we lose that, it books. It goes 670, 650.
Exactly. So that was why Mike and I were talking yesterday after live. I entered a VXX long position. And is it a little speculative? Yeah, because we haven't broken the trend line yet. Technically, the trend line's not broken. So we do need to break the trend line first. We haven't broken it yet. But if we can break under, in my opinion, what Mike is saying, under 689, that really confirms it, right? A 689 break confirms, like if you have two levels in your chart, trend line 1 and 689 2, if we can break beneath this level, this huge colossal level here, right, under 689, then this is going to be an interesting spot for longs who probably will get stopped out under these lows here for the downside play. And this could go, like Mike's saying, into 680, into 670, right? That would be longer term picture. I'm not talking about one day, maybe today's bullish, right? But in the long term, this is what you'd expect. You'd expect a little bit of this, some downs and little ups, some downs and little ups, some downs and little ups. But again, mostly downs, right? Mostly downs because again, under this trend line, I think things become frothy. So to reiterate, right? Mike was talking about 689. I agree with it. Under 691, 689. 689 breaks, then we go into 685.50, which is the next level of demand down below. In terms of supply, our supply is 694. If we reclaim 694, we're going higher to 696. That's what it is. So our levels are pretty clear today's session. What about ES, Mike?
Yeah, ES, it's the 7,000. So that's 694 on SPY. If we reclaim that, we can switch our bias and we can go long. But until that happens, the market it looks like it's starting to break down. So I want to be careful.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, why did it not break out yesterday? I mean, what is going on here pre-market? Why did SPY not break out yesterday in positive news? That goes to tell you something, right? I mean, where's the level now? Well, now our level here in ES chart is 69.76. What's that on SPY? So this PDL on SPY, previous day low on ES. What is that on SPY? Well, on SPY, that would be basically 691, right? You can argue probably 691.30. So 691.30 is your PDL on SPY. If we are just underneath this level today, if we sustain price under 691, there is no bullish momentum today, right? That's just what it is. Under 691, there's no bullish momentum today. So under PDL on SPY, I think is a really good, if you want to maintain short, not off of your bias, not off of your, you think PPI is bearish, you think market's going to be lower today. You want to just focus on technicals. Well, use PDL. If we're under PDL in SPY, then that's a very good reason to maintain bearish sentiment. So 691 here, 691.30 as an exact level here in the SPY chart. Then back to ES. Why am I going back to this chart? Because I'm talking about this level right here, 69.76 level here at ES. And then under this level, we go back into 69.50s. I don't know where the correlation is to 689 on this chart is. Mike, I'm not sure if you know what the correlation is.
It's 69.50.
It is. Okay, so 6950. Yeah. And then under 6950, I have 6936. And then under this level, we get the retest back into 6800, right? Back into these lows. Mike's big head is blocking my level over here. Hold on a second.
I apologize.
Yeah, do better. So 6900 ES is where that is where, if I were a short, if I was like shorting under 6950, under 6936, this would be like where I'd be targeting as a short, is back into these lows over here, into this demand zone below. Okay. What about Qs?
All right, QQQ. So the level that I'm watching today is the same area that I shorted last week, last Monday, 622. 622 is going to line up with that Nasdaq that I like, which is NDX 25,600. All right. If we lose that, then we should go back to 25,400. Okay. And that's going to be 6 on Q2. So if we lose 622, we go to 618.
Yeah, I agree. Looks good to me. Yeah, I have for me I have 623, but I see what you're saying, 622, right? And that's the start of that Monday uptrend. So that whole zone between 622 and 623, basically the same thing. If we break 622, we go to 619.50, 620, right? So there is some decent downside potential there. It doesn't look as sexy as SPY does to me, but let's see what happens here. Is there a trend line here? Let's just run this for a second. Is there a trend line here as well? I'm curious to see if there's that larger picture.
It's kind of a triangle. It's not the same pattern as SPY, but it does look like, you know, if it loses that trend, then for sure, I think it sells.
Yeah, I see it. I see it. A little bit of a triangle here, right? And this makes things interesting, right? The tighter the triangle, as you get towards the end of that trend, this is where things become frothy, where you get the big aggressive move. So it's possible you need something big, right? You need an exciting move in one direction, a big excitement upside move or a big excitement downside move. I think that's what's going to move us because again, we're getting tighter and tighter and tighter as you approach the end of this triangle, right? So I do believe a big move is coming. Maybe today, maybe tomorrow. Well, let's see what happens. But again, your trend line down below at 620 would be a trend line break on the QQQ. Okay. Besides that, we'll go over NQ. Somebody very, very graciously requested NQ this morning, so we're gonna go over that. Actually, I'm gonna let Mike go over this because I don't think even I have any levels in NQ. I'll do a full reset.
Yeah, you know, it's the same thing. If you just look at the hourly, what I would watch on NQ is break the trend, like below 25,600.
Right.
It's going to sell all the way back down to 25,300.
Yep. I see it. I see it. I see it. So yeah, I mean, looks good to me. It's the same chart, guys. I mean, it's the same thing. It's just basically everything's multiplied by some sort of multiple, right? So just the same way SPY correlates to ES, it's functionally the same chart, just some correlation. So my level here is 25,600 flat. That's my big level here in NQ. Huge level in NQ. That's the level to watch today. 25,600 is a massive level here. So if you're watching any level, I think that's the level to watch out for. Okay, so let's move on, guys. We've gone over some of these ETFs. Let's go over the IWM quickly. IWM, we've been adding this to our rotation, and I do see a potential setup here today. I see a pullback long on the IWM, right? This is different from my SPY chart. This is different from Q's, right? This is more of a bullish chart. And the reason why is it's because it's above a breakout level, right? We have a breakout level over here down at the 259s. And today's session, we are fully above 259. And if we get the pullback long to 259, I think this would be a valid break and retest long entry, right? I do think so. I think this, if you were looking for some long side trades today, you could look for that little retest here at the 259s, 258s for an upside move. So keep this in the back burner, guys. Again, IWM stronger than the overall market, right? Stronger than Qs, stronger than tech, stronger than banks. The IWM has been maintaining. So if you're looking for any trade today, I would say watch and see, does 258 hold? If 258 holds, long side entry. Okay, that's all it is today here on this trip.
I'm going to let you go over SMH. I'm going to try to rejoin because it's crappy.
Okay, yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. I'll move on. So while Mike is rejoining, guys, I'm going to go over the SMH. Then we'll go over some other names. We're going to wait for him to go over the big ones. But here's the SMH. So SMH, perfect retest of 375 on the 8th of January, right? Now at this point, to be honest, I still think at some point, I mean, it did the pullback though. It really did it. Like I was gonna say this. I was gonna say we required that pullback long to 375 for a long entry, but it's already done it, right? So at this point now, it's anyone's game. The next level here is 395 here on the SMH, so I'll have that drawn out as a new level. So my potential plays here now are going to be as follows: either a 375 pullback long for an upside move, or it's going to be a 395 break and hold for an upside move. Those are the only two things I'm watching for today's session, okay? 395 upside move break, or 375 pullback long for a long entry, okay? Again, here this is not something I'd trade intraday, right? I don't think you guys have ever seen me trade the SMH. I just trade the individual names within it, right? So like a NVIDIA or an AMD, if I'm watching for a trade here, I will look over and see, hey, what's the SMH doing? Because this will help me kind of take that trade. If I see that SMH is doing this and pulling back to my retest area at 375, and NVIDIA is pulling back to a very major demand, then hell yeah, I think longing NVIDIA using the SMH as a proxy is a good idea. So that's what I have on the Mike's calling me. Okay, so let's see if Mike's back in. I don't see him in the thing. Let me see. You know what I have to do? I have to bring him back into the session. Bear with me for a second, guys. So let's see here. Okay. Yep. Mike, you're back. Loud and
All
clear.
right, what about now? Can you guys hear me better?
It sounds good to me. It sounds good to me. But it sounds the same. It sounded good before as well.
Oh, okay. Then I'll just ignore it.
No, but I think it's good though. I think it's good. How is the sound, guys? Does it sound okay?
Hear me fine? Okay. All right.
Oh, you know what? I can't even read the chat for some reason. Let me refresh it.
Oh, they said much better.
Much
Okay.
better? Okay.
Perfect.
Beautiful. Okay, so let's move on. Let's go over your first ticker, Mike. Why don't you pick?
Yeah, we can start with Apple.
Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so Apple, here's the thing, right? Apple is printing, you look at the hourly, Apple is printing a bear flag, okay? It's printing a bear flag, and it's an obvious bear flag. But we need to know, are they just trying to trap retail into this bear flag? And the only way we'll know that is if we actually break and hold 261 level. If we break and hold 261, it'll squeeze retail out, and I think we'll see a big upside move. But if we start, if you draw the trend line for this little bear flag on the hourly, and we start breaking that, then we're going to next level at 253.
Yeah. So at this point now for me on Apple, it's under these lows, like under this 25850. That's where Mike, they're saying it's choppy again. But under 25850, under 25850, under yesterday's lows, it probably does sell, right? So if you want to short this under 25850, under PDL on Apple, really it's not 258, it's really 258 flat, right? Under PDL is 258 flat. So 258 flat here on Apple chart. If we do break it, then you can expect downside, right? So under 258, back at 256. For now, though, as long as we're above that 258 level, I think it's still bullish, and you would just have you'd be looking for upside moves with 261. Yesterday's session, we longed this all. I think so. Rav got an opening bell trade here. He longed it at open right over here at like 25950. Me all day. I sat here all day longing, and thank God it worked because it took basically for it took essentially this took how many hours, right? This took basically 2 hours in demand all session. So for me, I probably won't be trading Apple today. I'll probably leave this alone. But you can see it just maintained demand, it maintained demand, it maintained demand, it maintained demand, and moved back into supply 261. Now, supply 261 is still supply at 261. So if you want to see big upside here in Apple, you need to see us, again, like Mike's saying, is above that 261. If we can clear 261, we can look for upside. So this is a very important pivot here on the Apple chart. Is either below 258, because if it breaks 258, then we can short this, or above the 25 or above 261. And if it breaks that, we can look for re-entry longs. So for me, I actually have a long-term play here. I have not a long-term play, but like an equity swing. My stop on my equity swing is under 258 now, right? So for me, I entered at 261. I have a stop at 258 now. That's my new stop loss. So I will use this as a stop loss. And I know that if it breaks this level, this orange band here, this orange line here, that it's probably going to sell. So this is my new stop loss. No longer using 256 as a stop loss. I'm using 258 as a stop loss. And I would even short this. I would short this intraday today if it breaks 258. I would flip short and buy puts here. Okay. So that's the Apple chart. Moving on. Let's go over NVIDIA. NVIDIA
has been such a choppy chart.
Yeah, it's been choppy. It has been. But a little bit of a failed breakout yesterday. I don't know if you saw that, right? But above that 186s, it broke out and then chopped right back down lower. So this is interesting to me for downside. Under 184, I think this sells to 182. So if you are watching a trade here on the NVIDIA chart, you can watch that 184 breakdown. Under 184, you can look for shorts back into 181.50. Mike, I'm not sure if you have anything else to add here, but that would be a watch for me today under this 184.
Yeah, I'm not really watching NVIDIA today, but that I see that 184.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Under 184, if it breaks 184, you have a gap to play back in 182. So let's see what happens today here in NVIDIA. AMD here. AMD really strong still, but back in supply. So
yeah, 225 supply.
yeah, remember we were talking about AMD being really strong, and that's where it goes to 225. Well, it went there, right? We said, hey, if it breaks here, it's going there, 225. Now it's done it already, and I don't know if it actually gave you any like good entries here, but at this point, the upside on AMD, like we were talking about upside on this chart since the Tuesday, right? And basically since Tuesday, it made a move from 210 to 225 in essentially one session, right? One session, it made the move. I think that at this point, you probably want to hold off on longs until it can either set up another long entry 210, which would be a pullback long spot, or it breaks 225, which would be another long spot. But that's the only way I would trade this now is either a sell back into demand or a break and hold above 225. That's it for me. Mike, what ticker do you want to do next?
I'm actually watching Microsoft today.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, Microsoft, this 466, 465 is very big. If you look on the daily, you'll see this was a huge pivot last year, and it's also like a double bottom level. So if we lose this 465, we're going to sell $10 into 455.
That's interesting. We haven't gone over this chart in a while. Yeah, I see it. I see what you're saying. So under this big inflection point, Mike's talking about this one level, right? Just to reset so you can see it. He's talking about 466 here. Very key level of demand. If it can clear that level, big downside. I do see it. That makes sense to me. So let's watch and see what happens there. But under 466, downside. What's your target? 456?
455.
455.
Yeah, the top of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Nice.
456 maybe. Yeah.
Looks good. And then upside resistance comes in around 470s, right? 472s. 472s. Yeah. Okay. Let's move on. Let's go over the meta. Wow, Meta's weak. Wow,
Meta was very weak yesterday.
it's crazy, right? It's absolutely crazy to see that this name is still super weak. Under 440, under 640. This is a short for me. So at this point, I think that the end result is back here. This is where it's going to, right? I think the ultimate journey here is back into 580, back into 600, back into sub 600 is where I expect at this point. Where's your short entry though? Where's your short entry? Well, I think if you're looking for a short entry, you're probably shorting back into that 640s, right? If you see us get a pop and fade into 640, that's your top watch. So 640 pop and fade. What the hell is that? 640 pop and fade, right over here, right? A little bit of a popper and fader at 640. You can look for the downside play, right? So this would be a top watch. If you are a meta trader, 640 pop and fade. I wouldn't short it back down over here in a hole, right? Do not short meta in a pit, right? Because that's how you get smacked. But 640 pop and fader, that would be what I would watch today. If we see that, then this would be a decent place to look for that short side entry. Okay, let's move on, guys. Let's go over some other names.
Yeah, the only thing I would say on Meta is to be careful shorting below yesterday's low, 624, because if you draw the Fib Boy level from 580 to highs, it's at 621.50. I mean, it's literally $2 below yesterday's low.
Okay. Say the level again, just so I know it. What was the level?
It's 622.
622. Okay, so be careful at 622. A little bit of a landmine there. 622 landmine. Okay. Amazon. Scamazon. Demands down below are still valid. That's all I'm going to say here. I think I've been very clear about Amazon recently. Amazon demands below still valid. We have to see what happens here, right? So I'm still watching. Like 239 was a big demand for me. That was a main spot. So if we see us instead of a long entry there at 239, I go long today. Likewise, I would also watch 235, 235.50. Right? These are my big levels, and this is a huge level today. 235.50 is a level we have not retested yet. If you think about it, we have broken out with no retest of demand. So 239 is a small level, right? But 235.50 is a much bigger level. So my high conviction zone here is this 235 area today here on Amazon's chart. So I am watching this today. Let's see what happens. But again, on an upside move like this, it's still structuring upside. Taps of demand, especially the first tap of demand, is still going to offer some opportunities. So keep that on the main watch today. Amazon. Now, what's your level today on this chart?
Yes, same thing. 239 and then 236.
Yes. Okay, good. All right.
Same thing.
Let's do some pounds here. PLTR. What are you thinking?
Pounds here, it's just right now it's kind of in a consolidation period. If we lose 174, then it's going to sell all the way back down to those lows from last week, 166.
Yeah. I don't see anything here, guys. It looks like a little bit. It looks a little lackluster right now, right? Nothing really happening. It's just
Yeah.
consolidating above 177. I would be careful 177 today. That seems to be the big level today. Anyway, guys, we can go over Tesla and we'll finish off there. What about Tesla, Mike? What are you watching here? Anything?
I'm not watching Tesla.
Nor am I. Right? It's same thing. I mean, it's been a little bit of a. It's been a little bit. I think I haven't traded Tesla in a long time. I gotta start trading Tesla again. If it can start waking up, I'll trade this. But I think the biggest thing here on Tesla is, can it break that 450? If it can break 450, I like trading Tesla on momentum, and I feel like Tesla hasn't had momentum in a long time. Uh, Maybe I've been wrong about that, but it's just 450 has to clear for me, right? If 450 can clear and build above, I think this could be a proper long entry. So let's see what happens. 450 break. If 450 can break, then we can look for longs back in a 454 and back in a 462. So keep this on the back burner. I don't think we should completely X out Tesla. I just think that we should create a plan here, and the plan here is only trade it, only get involved above the 450s. Because if it breaks 450, then I think there's a logical reason for it to go higher. Anyways, that's it for me, Mike. Anything to add?
No, that's my watch today, so we can call it.
Yeah, guys, beautiful session. Have a beautiful Wednesday session. Obviously, guys, big data at 10 a.m. today. That should be on everyone's calendar. It's the elephant in the room. Be aware of 10 a.m. Okay. I'll see you. I'll see you in the chat. I'm just reading the chat right now. It's crazy. All right, guys. Have a great session.
All right, see you guys.